Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Bundesliga Show, prediction show, brought to you by Over the Bar with your host, as usual, myself, Rory Petre, and Mark Broadhurst. It's quite nice to be filming during the daylight hours, actually, for once. I haven't got darkness seeping into the background for once. So that's actually quite nice to film in a bit of brightness for once. So as you'll be aware, the prediction show that we started running individually now, that comes out on a Thursday evening, is to look ahead in a bit more detail at the match week to come. So we've got match weekend 23 that we're looking at this weekend. Just before we get going, a quick look at how the scores on the doors are going between myself and Mark. We do a little competition between the two of ourselves, and Mark's made a bit of leeway actually in recent weeks, because we've not looked at the scores for a couple of weeks. He's now brought it back in the last 2 weeks, so it's now 10-7 to me. It is getting closer. So it's looking a lot more interesting now, which is great. Just looking at, and obviously thanking everyone that gets involved and drops in their thoughts and predictions. I think Over the Bar's very own David Pearson probably did the best out of everyone who commented last week. So well done, David, for that. Make sure that you guys keep on commenting and keep on predicting. It's always good fun to see what you guys think. Wasn't a lot of people that backed Frankfurt to beat Bayern, I don't think. So there you go. I think, Mark, you're one of the few people who did that last week.
I got the correct score in that one. So yeah.
So very well done. Yeah. So without further ado, we'll now move on to match weekend 23 of the Bundesliga, and Friday night football returns with a game between Werder Bremen hosting the form team in the league in the shape of Frankfurt. Obviously, for me, the way that both teams are going, it looks like only one way this game will go. I'll put it down as 2-0 to Frankfurt. Maybe won't score as many goals if potentially Silva's still out. I don't know the extent of his injury, to be honest, so we'll have to see. But regardless whether he's there or not, I still expect them to be more than strong enough to see off Werder. So, Mark, what are you thinking about this one?
Yeah, I've also gone for 2-0 to Eintracht there. I just think, again, it's one of those games you just can't see beyond Frankfurt in this game. I guess the only thing that could possibly alter this one is if Frankfurt start to feel the pressure a bit, because I mean they're probably favourites as a result of the win over Bayern last week. They're probably favourites for top four now. So maybe sometimes this happens in football, where teams feel a bit of pressure, and they will be favourites going into this game. But yeah, I just think they've got everything that's needed to handle the pressure, and I'm going to go for a comfortable 2-0 away win there.
Yeah, agreed. I think certainly you make a good point about the favourites tag, maybe, especially with them even slightly being linked with a surprise title run. Like obviously the form that they're on, like why wouldn't they have a good shot at that? So yeah, we will see how they start to handle that sort of pressure. So moving on to the Saturday afternoon games, we've got Borussia Dortmund hosting Arminia Bielefeld. Bielefeld really have had rotten luck with their fixtures. I think lately they've not had any respite, and a Dortmund side who will be buoyed by their recent results. So I'm saying at home a 3-0 win to Dortmund.
Yeah, I think this is a nice fixture for Dortmund. Obviously, after beating Schalke last time out, I mean, they can start to get a bit of momentum with a back-to-back win here. I don't think they'll hammer Bielefeld, but I think they'll get a 2-0 win. I've gone for 2-0. I think nowadays, Dortmund aren't the kind of side that score as many goals as perhaps in the past. But I think in this game, they'll probably just look to kind of preserve a bit of energy, because obviously they've got bigger games to come ahead. And I just think they'll probably go 2-0 at half time, and I think it'll either stay 2-0 or perhaps 3-0 as well. But yeah, I've gone for 2-0 to Dortmund there.
Yeah, very good. Then moving on to what is probably quite a rare Saturday afternoon kickoff for Bayern, actually. So the champions are hosting FC Cologne after they've played already in their Champions League game. We're recording this show actually on a Wednesday afternoon as a bit of a irregularity due to people's priorities and plans. So at the moment, obviously, we've just seen Bayern put Lazio to bed, really, and that might be the catalyst to see a bit more of a a form kind of side, especially if Bayern think that the tie's already put to bed. They can concentrate on Bundesliga again. So I've gone for a 2-1 victory. This is probably before I did these predictions, before that game had gone ahead. So I'll stick with 2-1, but Bayern I expect to start coming back strongly.
Yeah, I've gone for 4-1 actually, and I did these predictions before last night's game. But yeah, I do think, I mean, obviously they've not won in the last 2 games. I think Cologne will create chances against them. I don't doubt that. And I mean, we have seen Cologne get some big away results. Obviously, they've won away in Dortmund and Gladbach, so they can get these big away from home wins. But I think, yeah, I mean, it's very, very rare you see Bayern go more than 2 games in a row without a win. So it's hard to see anything other than a comfortable home win for me, really. So I've gone for 4-1, but I think it could be quite an entertaining game with chances at either end, really, this one.
Yeah, agreed. Then moving on to another Saturday afternoon game, we've got Wolfsburg hosting very much out of sorts Hertha Berlin. Again, this one you just expect to go with the form book, really. I think we've seen 3 games, and this is the 4th game where I just feel like it's a dead easy one to predict. Which, saying this week, you'll probably get it all wrong. But Wolfsburg for me just look too strong at home. 2-0 for me, I reckon. Hertha just seem all over the place. So yeah, 2-0 to Wolfsburg for me.
Yeah, I agree with you on the fact that you say, yeah, on paper it looks like a walkover, but I don't know. Sometimes I see with Hertha, they do sometimes perform to a much higher level than what they generally do, you know. And I've got a funny feeling this could be the kind of game where they just kind of turn up a little bit more. But I have gone for 1-0 to Wolfsburg because I just think defensively, for me, they are the best defensive side in the league, without doubt. And I just think, again, these fixtures, they seem to come in rows, don't they? I mean, Hertha have had a rotten run of fixtures, really, in a row. And I just think this is another really, really tough game, you know. And I've gone for 1-0. I still think there's a chance that Hertha could get something out of it again because Wolfsburg now, they might start to feel a bit of pressure. I mean, they've got a 6-point gap to that 5th place, and they're only 7 points off top of the league. So, I mean, they're not out of a title push, and the fans will expect them to close out top 4 from here, I would imagine. So, obviously, with other teams dropping points, so there could be a bit of pressure, and they will be big favourites going into this game. But yeah, I've gone for 1-0 to Wolfsburg.
Yeah, very good. The final Saturday afternoon kickoff is between Stuttgart and Schalke. Again, Stuttgart have been slightly suspect at home and have maybe favoured playing away from home this season. But they've got themselves obviously really comfortably into mid-table. Obviously, it's a fine effort this season. They'll obviously want to close that out for the remainder of this season. I can see them picking up fairly comfortable 2-0 win over essentially relegated Schalke. Don't see them really picking up much from this. So yeah, I'm going to back Stuttgart to win.
Yeah, for me, I think we saw a much better performance from Stuttgart, for probably the best performance for 5 or 6 games against Cologne in the last game. I mean, they were looking a lot more to me like what they did early in the season. I do take your point about the fact that they're probably not quite as good at home because the style of play suits to be fast on the break away from home. But yeah, I mean, Schalke for me are by a distance the worst side in the league, and they just hemorrhage chances left, right, and centre against all teams, really. So yeah, I've gone for 2-0 as well there, but it could be one of those games where they ship 3 or 4 easily, this one.
Yeah, very good. And then we've got a Saturday evening or early evening kickoff between RB Leipzig and Borussia Mönchengladbach. On paper, you would say this looks the most presentable game in terms of the 2 teams, but obviously given what's going on at Gladbach this season, obviously in recent weeks, it really, to me, seems like another one-sided fixture or game. The way that RB have been going about their work, I only see a home win. Obviously, Gladbach might throw in a surprise performance, but for me, it's a 3-1 home win.
Yeah, this is the first game this week, Rory, that I've gone against your prediction, actually, which might surprise a few people. I just think for me, the difference is the pressure now on Leipzig. And we have seen before, they've closed to within 2 points. I mean, it could be 5 by the time this game kicks off. So that might take a little bit of the pressure off. But with Leipzig, I just never quite know whether they've really got the mentality in there. I mean, they have shown improvement mentally this year, there's no question, but we have also seen games where they should have won and they've not done, you know. Alternatively, I mean, they do play City tonight, actually, so they could get a bit of a run around. They've also, I think they've got to go to, is that game being played in Budapest? So it's not like it's a home game. So they've got an away trip, essentially, midweek.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Leipzig should win this game, but I think Gladbach might just fancy taking a point off them in this game. So I've gone for 1-1, actually, there.
Yeah, interesting stuff. Moving on to our 3 games on a Sunday now. I think obviously the fixtures are going to kind of present themselves like this probably for the rest of the season, where we get 3 games on a Sunday more often than not. Well, certainly as long as Hoffenheim and Leverkusen remain in the Europa League, which might not actually be that long, considering their first leg scores. So starting at, the very first game on Sunday, we've got Union Berlin hosting Hoffenheim. This is quite a tricky one to call, actually, because both teams picked up important wins at the weekend just gone, especially Hoffenheim with a really impressive win, actually, 4-0. But Union, the way they've been playing, especially the way that Hoffenheim have defended in recent months, I think the set pieces might be crucial, especially if they've got Cruz back, and then obviously they can get lots of balls whipped in. So for me, I'm saying a 2-1 home win to Union.
Yeah, I've gone the opposite way in this one, actually. I've gone for a 2-1 Hoffenheim win. I just think Hoffenheim are one of those sides that they like this back-to-back. They like 2 games a week. I think they do have the ability to rotate a little bit because they have maybe 4 forwards who can all play at the highest level. And I just think, I just think we saw probably, for me, last week's performance wasn't just out of the blue. They have started to show an improvement probably for the last 6 or 7 games now, really. I think we have started to see more consistency from them. I think they got a couple of 3-0 wins. They got that 2-2 draw at Dortmund. Then obviously last week they won 4-0, which was a really impressive result. So for me, I just think at the moment, I think Hoffenheim are on better form. And I think they've got players creating chances and scoring goals. So I'm going to go for 2-1 there to Hoffenheim.
Interesting stuff. The second Sunday game is a game that relates to the bottom half of the division as Mainz host, again, out of form, Augsburg. This, for me, is a game where the pressure is actually back on Mainz, because the games they've been playing lately are all these amazing wins against the likes of, Gladbach and Leverkusen and other teams that they've picked up points against the bigger teams. And we've said that repeatedly throughout our shows, that they keep on picking up points against the teams that they shouldn't do. The real challenge is now, if you're going to get yourself out of trouble, is to beat the teams not necessarily in and around you, because Augsburg still have a bit of a break and a bit of a gap, but this is a real presentable chance, especially considering they're on good form. So I'm going to back them and say that Mainz will win this one 2-1 and maybe even get themselves out of the relegation places.
Yeah, I also fancy Mainz in this one. I just think we've started to see them really show a lot of guts, a lot of late goals, and I think they really will fancy winning this one. I mean, I totally take your point on the fact that, they've not been that good in those kind of bottom team derbies. They haven't done well in those kind of games, not well enough anyway. Like they failed to beat Schalke or, in fact, any of the bottom 4. They've not beaten any of those sides yet. So, I mean, obviously Augsburg are a bit of a step above those kind of bottom 4 or 5, but they do, if they lose this, then Mainz will close to within 3 points of them. Admittedly, Mainz have got a much worse goal difference, but still. So, I mean, this is quite a big game for both teams. I think if Augsburg can win this, then they're pretty much safe, to be honest with you. I don't see them. So it's the carrot's there for both teams, I mean, if Mainz win, they're more or less certain to come at least out of the bottom 2, possibly even out of the bottom 3, incredibly, for the first time this season.
Yeah.
So it is there. I'm going to go 2-1 to Mainz, because I think they've just got a little bit more in attack. And they're really starting to show some bottle, which I always like to see in a team.
Very good. And then the last game of the weekend is between Bayer Leverkusen and Sport Club Freiburg. Again, probably would have been a better game between the two of them if both of them were still in the same form that they were maybe a few months ago, especially Leverkusen, who are just impossible to predict right now. I think a lot of it depends on how well Leverkusen go on Thursday. If they manage to squeak through their game midweek, and that might give them a bit of confidence. If they don't go well, then their back's against the wall again. They're obviously fighting to keep a hold of the top four in the league at the moment, and they desperately do need a win. Freiburg obviously hovering in between the top half and that top six kind of bracket. Have been in different form, not hit the heights that we've seen lately. So for me, I'm going to say that Leverkusen win because simply they have to continue to be involved in a top four argument. So yeah, 2-1 to the home side for me.
Yeah, I think this is an absolutely huge week for Leverkusen because, I mean, if you look at what's happened to them in 2021, it's been a disaster. You know, they've gone from being second, well, they were top the game before the last game of 2020. Yeah. I mean, they've just dropped. I've never seen a plummet like it, to be honest, in a long time. I think they've not got enough criticism for the plummet that they've had, really, you know. And also, you've got to remember, on top of that, they went out of the Pokal to Essen, fourth tier Essen, and also the 4-3 behind going into the second leg against Young Boys Bern, who I think both of us tip would be an easy draw for Leverkusen, really. So, I mean, they probably are still just about favourites to go through that tie, but it's not really convincing the fact they conceded 4 to a team like Bern, you know. So I think yeah, for me, they've got to get through that. They've got to prioritize that game. I mean, if they lose that and they don't beat Freiburg, then they might as well. I would say even Boss could even get sacked potentially if that happens, you know. But I have gone for a 2-0 win because I just think, not really to criticize Freiburg, but they're not looking the same side as they were like even 4 games ago. You know, they've stopped scoring goals, they've stopped creating as many chances. But I think there's no problem for them because they've already achieved the goal for the season, which is to stay well away from that bottom 3. So yeah, I mean, you're going to hit bad runs of form if you're a team like Freiburg. So I think they've still had an amazing season. And yeah, for me, this is just like the rest of the season now. They can just enjoy it, really, and hopefully get back to some of the football that they were playing like just before and after Christmas, really.
Yep. Yeah, very much so. And then so that brings a close to the Matchday 23 predictions between myself and Mark. Before we close up, obviously, please do get involved as always. We've got, like I said, a nice community of followers who often comment their predictions of on these prediction videos. So if you're new to the channel and you're not too sure, please do get involved. Throw in your comments, throw in your thoughts about what you think will happen over the weekend, and you know, see if you can beat me and Mark week on week, which I'm sure is very achievable. So yeah, that's it between me and myself. So we'll just quickly finish off with Mark as per usual.
Yeah, absolutely. So I hope you enjoyed our prediction show for the match day 23. So let's just have a look at the the tags. So yeah, we've got the Twitter @OverTheBarFB. You can find anything football related on there, anything to do with the Bundesliga show or the League One show, which I've been appearing on quite a bit lately. So check that out. And also, of course, the Over the Bar otbfootball.net, which is our website, which is like the kind of main centerpiece of our work here at this website. So yeah, remember to check everything out in relation to that as well. So yeah, that's pretty much everything. So we look forward to another interesting week of fixtures. Remember to comment your predictions as well. Comment anything about what you think about our predictions too, of course. Remember to subscribe. Absolutely. So that's pretty much everything for the prediction show for week 23. So yeah, all the best, guys, and see you next time.
Cheers all.